Farm4Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm4Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm4Profit Podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. Tanner, Corey, Dave, all sitting here in studio, and I can't remember the last day that we haven't had any wind.
It's windy out there.
It is not windy out there.
Yesterday was like one of the windiest days.
Right. Every day's been windy. Today, there's been no wind.
Oh, I suppose.
I felt like it was not windy the day before last.
Isn't that just kind of the way it goes, though?
Because I remember specifically saying the Midwest thing of like, you know, if it was windier, it'd be really cold. But this ain't too bad.
You just got to give the positive on the back.
Yeah, it was like, it was pretty dang cold, but like, man, boy, if it was windy, this would suck.
It blew over my new patio set, and it had like a nice cover, and I thought I'm going to be the good homeowner and actually put the cover on it, put the ratchet strap on it. Nope, she all tipped over now. It just tipped over as a group this time.
That's true. That's not the way you want to go about it. I didn't think that's the way you were going to go with your story either. We get to talk cattle today. It's always a popular request from you as listeners. You're sending those requests via connect at Farm4Profit, or you're sending them to 515-207-9640. Always appreciate that feedback. We talked about cattle with our new hire, Cody, during his episode right at the beginning of the year. And he's been catching a lot of flack for calving in January.
Yeah, when I was scheduling that post, I was like, there's not much here, but I'm like, maybe people do care about when people calve, and apparently they do.
Well, he's got show cattle, though.
Well, yeah,
They're
he
looking
does.
for timing. They're
He
looking for
does.
weight. They're looking for size. They're looking for a very specific kind of...
We got a text message to the hotline in 4861. Said, hey, Farm4Profit guys. It didn't sound like the way I started it. It's spelled correctly. I want to meet you guys. Where can I do that? And I said, oh, yeah? Because, that sounds kind of sketchy to begin with. Almost sent him to your house.
Well, we'll be, this week, we'll be in Louisville at National Farm Machinery Show, and then we'll be down in San Antonio at Commodity Classic here at the end of the month. So that's a couple places. We're always at Farm Progress Show, I feel like. And throughout several field
Husker
days.
Harvest days.
And, throughout the summer. So, come check us out.
But thanks for sending those messages, because we can tell you when you text in like that, we can get right back to you and let you know where we're going to be. Always happy to meet you guys, because you're the reason we're here. Excited to have the conversation today. We've talked with Balance4Ward in the past, but it's been almost 2 years. It's been a solid year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you asked, have we done this? Or our guest asked, have we done Balance4Ward? Yeah, we have. A couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I specifically remember because they have a 4 and we have a 4. It's Balance4Word.
That's right. And excited to introduce Todd Drake here, CEO and founder of Balance4Ward. Welcome to Slater.
Thanks for having me.
It's a little drive, right? Southwest Iowa is where you're from.
Sure. Nawway, Iowa, down by Corning.
We've never had Todd on before. We've talked about Balance4Ward and how it can help producers in the cattle sector make some good decisions, get access to some really good quality of products. But I'm excited to hear about what's changed from here on out. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about little Todd. Did you grow up on a farm?
Little Todd. Yeah, so our family farm is down by Blockton, Iowa, down on the Missouri border. So I grew up actually, my first until I was 11 was 3 miles south of Blockton on the Missouri border. My tree house was in Missouri and my house was in Iowa.
Treehouse.
And I got to ride a bus an hour and a half each way.
An hour and a half each way. So were you the first on and the last off?
That's right. You got to go to Bedford, get off, and then get on and go to Conway.
Yeah.
Wow. The route always changed for me. I only lived a mile and a half outside of town.
Sure.
But I was still some years first on, last off. You had to go to everybody else's house.
Sure.
I could have walked home faster.
Yeah. I could not have, but I was the first on, last off a couple times on the bus route, but it was 7 miles to school for me, so that would not have worked.
Blockton don't look very big.
Yeah, it's not. Rose Hill Cemetery is probably where I'm going to land down there some point, so it might be lonely.
You got your lots bought already?
No, but I don't think it'll fill up anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's always been a fun conversation about depreciating assets. People that own cemeteries, it never gets higher in value because you slowly sell off little plot by little plot by little plot, and eventually you don't have any plots left. So what's it worth? Have you ever auctioned off a cemetery?
No. No, I haven't. I have one for sale right now that borders a cemetery, is what I was thinking.
Oh.
Not part of the property, but
That is a dynamic I've never thought of.
the only thing I think
Like,
is
I thought like towns normally owned it. People own them?
Yeah, sometimes individuals own them. Sometimes communities own them.
Churches.
Towns
you
does.
know why you want to own them. Then it's tax free. You don't have to pay taxes on it if you cemetery.
I've seen those TikToks.
You've seen those
I've
TikToks?
seen those TikToks.
I don't know if there's any truth to it, but
There's got to be. You know why there's fences around cemeteries?
It's not keeping the ghosts in.
No, it's because people are dying to get in.
Ah.
that was totally the wrong kind of dad joke.
Well, as winter comes to an end, it's time to start thinking ahead. Spring preparation starts now, and Soukup is here to help you get ready.
From grain bins and dryers and material handling to storage solutions, Soukup provides the equipment farmers rely on season after season.
Now it's time to plan, prep, and get your operation ready for that big rush.
Visit Soukup.com to explore products and find trusted Soukup dealer near you.
Soukup, bins built better. All right. Little Todd grew up in Blockton.
So I was 11.
Okay.
Then I moved to Lenox. My dad bought the livestock auction, and he was an order buyer. So the livestock auction lasted a couple of years, probably about 83. And then Dad had cattle everywhere. He was an order buyer. We had cows and feeder cattle, and he rented all kinds of farms around. So I grew up sorting cattle and feeding cattle and packing feed buckets and trying to do everything the hard way, probably. But
So do you have very many memories from going there with your dad when you were younger?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, the best was when Dad left. The bad was when Dad went to a cattle sale. Me and my buddies, we terrorized that corner of Lenox. I remember having a pop bottle rocket fight in the sale barn, and with screamers. And Dad was gone right around the 4th of July, and all the police came down, and
Oh.
yeah, they got to. The smoke was rolling out, and all
So
kinds.
where,
of
what town, did Blockton have its own police, or where would that?
No, that was at Lenox.
Lenox.
Oh, that was
Lenox,
Lenox.
Lenox,
Okay.
yeah, Lenox.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm mixing.
Yeah,
two
Lenox
things
is over there by Creston, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not that far from Blockton, probably 30 minutes
up. Okay.
That's good.
or so.
So then, did you end up having cattle that you owned? You said he was an order buyer.
Yep.
Did you guys have cattle of your own when you grew up?
Yeah, he did everything. We had a stock cow herd, backgrounded cattle, and Dad was a wheeler dealer, we'll put it that way. He was fast and furious, and I remember getting in Louisiana 3-weights back in the 80s and starting calves to cutting bulls to, we did a little bit of everything, a wide range of cattle.
Well, that probably shapes a lot of the experience you have for your business now.
Absolutely. I learned, when I left home, there was one thing I didn't want to do is be in the cattle industry, actually. I went to college down to Maryville, Missouri at Northwest, and my wife went, or at that time, girlfriend went down there as well, and I didn't want anything to do with the cattle industry. I was tired of being a chore boy, anything but that.
Yeah.
And then that's the only people I could connect with was really the ag kids, so next thing I knew, I was all back in it.
Back in it.
It's funny how that comes full circle, because I
It
had
is.
some similar thoughts from when I was a kid. I didn't want to come back to the farm, and then all of a sudden you get to a point where that's all you want to do.
That's right.
Huh. You ever heard that song, Where Corn Don't Grow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes me think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
No, it's a weird phenomenon. I mean, you couldn't hate it more there for a little bit, and then it's like, no, that's what I was meant to do. You just,
Sure.
It's like there's just a switch that's thrown.
So did you start, you come back from college, did you have cattle before college that you owned? Or did you come back from college and start buying now that you knew how to buy?
Well, we started from scratch, actually. So right out of college, I worked for High Pro Animal Health out of Emporia, Kansas.
Okay.
And folks got a divorce right actually when I left home. So everything was gone when I left, had nothing to go back to. So we started from scratch. And but I fell in love hard with the cattle industry in my first job with High Pro. And that's where I was going around calling on all these cattle feeders and backgrounders, northern Missouri and northeast Kansas and southwest Iowa. And boy, a lot of them took me in under their wings. I wanted what they had. I loved how they raised their families there. I honestly loved everything about it. Some of the families, I just admire them, still admire them today, actually. Some of them are still doing business with me. They've watched me do about 5 different brands, and they're still hanging in there supporting us.
Those are the best kind.
So 5 different brands. That different jobs or actually brands that you've started?
Good question. Yeah, so we started out with Nawway Valley Feeders, and Christy and I got that started. I think that was 2002. So we would have been 29 years old, and we got the bank to give us a big loan and got down to 15% equity.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what the bank thought of that at 29 years old?
Yeah.
Oof.
No cosigner, which was kind of interesting. I don't know. I still don't know why Tom Langemeyer gave me that note, but he did. And so we built the feed yard from scratch down there, and we don't farm. And that it was the best decision I ever made and probably one of the roughest decisions I ever made because we did it off of heart, not off of financial great decision. Mm-hmm. So, but we got that going, and it kind of turned me into an investor feeder. You know, since I couldn't rely on my farming, making up for any of my mistakes. I mean, cattle in, cattle out. So we did some custom feeding and
you had to source your own feed.
Had to source everything.
Yeah, you weren't growing it.
Everything was about contracting. And I knew looking around, if we were going to compete with all these local guys that had lots of equity and buy land over the future, it's like we had to outmarket them because there was no way I couldn't figure out any other way of competing in the region without outmarketing people.
Yeah. So that Nawway Valley Feeders.
Sure.
What came after that?
So Nawway Valley Feeders, the first we got going. Well, I left out a little bit of interesting part there. Oh. So there was a little bit of panic when we got down to 15% equity on paper. So I kept my job for a couple years. Spent $1.2 million and then kept my job. $1.2 million then was quite a bit. And Christy, who was a banker and had a fashion merchandising major, she ran the feed yard.
Huh.
She was scheduled to go take over my mother's women's clothing store, but instead she started feeding cattle. So that was a real eye-opener on young marriage and raising a couple of boys.
Did she have any experience?
No, not a bit. Not a bit. She's probably the interesting one to interview. That's who should be here, actually.
Yeah. Next time. There's always a next time.
I'll bring her with me. Yeah.
Wow, that's a big role. But there's probably a lot of operations out there just like yours to where one spouse or the other, no matter the gender, you get thrown into it.
Sure.
It's all hands on deck.
Yeah, so we got that done, and we got to generate more revenue. We're entrepreneurial. I figured that out the hard way through there. We're more entrepreneurs than we probably are. We love people in the cattle business, but we love the people probably more than we love the cattle.
Uh-huh.
And so we started blending feed and selling in between feedings. So our first tractor was a 4020 that was already 30 years old. Mm-hmm. And we put it to work in the morning, and then we blended feed in the middle of the day and then fed again at night and ran that out of a 300-bushel bulk bin.
Wow.
And we built a brand of New Balance Commodities. And that started out as just dry blended feed, and we sold the thunder out of that. We actually somehow made a brand of co-mix. Now everybody in the region knows what co-mix is, and every feed store around the region has co-mix, but that was the first thing we wrote down on a piece of paper.
So what is in co-mix?
Yeah, it was soy hull pellets, gluten pellets. Back then, I think it was some oat hull pellets and some supplement and some DDG and then different oil. And we just kept blending and blending.
Just commingled everything.
Commingled everything.
Into co-mix.
Yep. Talked to Buddy into buying a couple semi-loads of cake feeders to sell in the area. There wasn't a cake feeder in the entire region, I don't think, when I moved back from Missouri. So,
wow. Because I've heard when we did our first Balance4Ward interview, I had heard of New Balance Commodities and didn't put two and two together when I should have. But that's only two. There's three more to go.
Well, then the ethanol boom hit.
Yep.
And we were one of the first 10 feed yards, I think, to feed distillers grain in the state of Iowa out of Craig, Missouri. And we actually bought the product out of the Napa store down there. He was the local feed broker, was out of Napa.
Like a car parts Napa?
Car parts Napa. So we called down there, and they didn't know if you wanted Napa parts or what you wanted, but we ordered feed out of there the first year. And, since we contracted everything in that industry, we got in on that thing really early. And Rob Tucker come in. He was a local guy there at Corning and jumped in. So we started working out of the garage and just started growing and growing. And we started brokering distillers grain from different ethanol plants all over. Started out of Craig, Missouri, and then it just went. Everyone, I think the third one in we did was we took a huge contract out of Burlington, Iowa, hauled it clear across the state. I think it was $17 a ton delivered.
Oh,
Yeah, for a year. That put us on our feet.
yeah, it would.
We just said more, please, and we went out and hustled, and next thing you know, New Balance Commodities took off, and took off too well, to be honest. You can grow too fast, come to find
Sure.
out. Yeah, for sure.
Can you just imagine calling up the Napa store and going, yeah, I need some filters for a 40/20 and 24 ton of feed.
and ginger.
and then they ask, well, is it a mechanical front wheel assist or or mechanical front wheel drive? What does that matter? I need the dang filters. The diesel.
But my computer doesn't say.
I need some blinker fluid.
And the whole time they were talking about ginger, not the filters.
Yeah.
The tractor. Yeah. So New Balance Commodities grew and exploded.
Yeah.
So did everything else spin out of a exploding company that was filling a hole, or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was just somebody that could contract feed and own the contracts and get all that system put together. And I tell you, I probably did the least amount of all of them before it was all said and done, because we bought one load, then two, then four, and we just kept doubling until we could get it sold. And we went into different plants and said we'd take it all without the bank probably would have shot me back then if they'd have known what we were doing.
What was on paper?
Right. And I don't even know if I looked at the legitimacy or this risk that we were even taking, but we were wanting to not be broke anymore.
Yeah.
And so we just kept throwing things at the wall and see what would stick. And we went from one ethanol plant, and I think we got 85 different ethanol plants we deal with.
Wow.
Even that, and that's been for a lot of years now. I mean, that's been a lot of years.
Corey and I were sitting in line at the ethanol plant a couple weeks ago, and their dryer went down on them. So instead of having DDGs to ship out, they had a bunch of wet cake.
Sure.
Fire sale.
It was a fire sale.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was trucks lined up to get the fire sale.
Right.
Drug trucks. It had the nicest of the Peterbilts to the where the heck did you pull that dump truck out of? I mean, just crap. And no
That's
one knew
what
where to
happens.
go because they don't normally load wet cake there. So they were pulling in down by the grain line and then backing up and getting low. It was just a mess.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I could see where ethanol plants would welcome the conversation of, you're going to take it all?
Sure.
Great.
$5 a ton, I think. And then I heard some bigger guys got it even cheaper than that.
Yeah.
They were taking a bunch. So I don't know if that's good or not. I don't buy wet cake. I don't know what the going market is right now, but sounds cheap.
Right. It's probably closer to $60 than $5.
Whoa.
That was a good
that's
deal.
It's a good deal.
That's a
Yeah.
good deal.
So there was a lot of people. You just got to answer your phone. We had a bunch of hunters, and we incentivized everybody in there. And Dana Morgan's been with us forever, and just everybody picked up the phone, dial for dollars, take phone calls all night long. Those guys have absolutely worked their tails off to build that
Dial
business.
for dollars, Dave. You need that.
Yeah.
Dial for dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also get that now.
So New Balance Commodities still exists.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Really proud of that business, actually. We've scaled that thing up. It's still growing. It's not growing like it was back then, thank goodness. That was, it about got away from us, probably. We grew
Sure.
so fast that, we just kept changing accounting systems, and it was all hands on deck. Christy, my wife, was in there. She was the CFO and keeping track of loads, and we had multiple people, just kept hiring.
But I imagine you got to be hedging and doing all that stuff with that, right?
No, that's even make it worse. We weren't hedging against that. We were
Really?
just taking contracts.
Ooh.
But at the same time, the cattle business kept growing, and we were feeding cattle all over hell,
Yeah.
and we were doing all kinds of different things with that. And then when things got calm for 15 minutes, then I thought I needed a spec in soybeans and things that we don't even do at my place. So, yeah, we're commodities traders at heart. I can give you a long list of what not to do.
Yeah.
I can tell you what.
Well, you must have done something okay, because you're still here on an interview on
It is.
the Farm4Profit podcast.
So you must have hired a ton of people to make that company work. Who ran it?
Well, it started out Rob Tucker, and then it was me, and then it just kept evolving from there.
Okay.
But we probably from 2006 is when New Balance Commodities, the blended, started, in 2014. I mean, we went. It was faster than anybody knows. To be honest, the Nawway office got wild. It was a little bit of, there was nothing bad happened, but beer started coming out a lot earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And people were coming in at 5:30 in the morning because they were excited to get there.
Yeah.
Hey.
And then by 2 in the afternoon, the beer was open. And then,
Well, they'd already worked a full day.
right?
Yeah.
Well, then at 10 o'clock at night, them and half the spouses were at my house. And there was,
So the Napa store moved to your house?
yeah, no. Probably a little too much fun back then, but it was,
You were just blazing a trail. Now all these Silicon Valley type, you go to any office almost in Des Moines that has tech, or they've got beer on tap.
Right.
Yeah. You're
Well,
just
There's
There
an
was beer.
unwritten rule you need to wait till 2 o'clock, or you're not supposed to be on a live call after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because nobody knew what was happening. So I'll tell a quick one. I showed up on Friday at 2 o'clock in the back room, the bullpen we called it. And there was a cowboy back there with a holster on his side, a revolver in there, a Bud Light in hand, karaoke machine, and Pour Some Sugar on Me was getting played across the entire
Across the bullpen.
across the bullpen.
Yeah.
There you go, Dave. That's your new walkout song.
Yeah.
It's a little calmer around there nowadays, but no, like I said, no, it was all in good fun, but it was a little wilder back then.
Made you relatable.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
your clientele probably appreciated it.
Yeah.
They were buying from a real person, a real company, a real crew that shared a lot of the same values.
Yeah, and it sounds like it wasn't just a party because them guys were blowing off steam. I mean, they were working.
Yeah.
I don't know how many hours a day, but it doesn't work when you're having fun.
That's true.
It just doesn't work when you're having fun.
So is that now you've got all the background? You grew up with your dad on the sale barn side. You had your own feed yard. You had to contract all your feed stuffs.
Hey, everything.
Now you're brokering it, at least on the DDG side of it. Is that what gave you all the insight to launch Balance4Ward?
Absolutely. We just got to a point where I think it was probably in 16 after the cattle. We had so many things going on. It's lucky I'm still in business, to be honest. But some of the spec I did in 15 wasn't too smart. And anyway, we got through that, and Christy and I were standing out on the decks like, what are we going to be when we grow up? We like people too much to just run the feed yard, and we don't want to be a feed company, even though we really value that, and we value our customers on that. So let's just go all in and help these people build legacy. Let's teach them what we've learned, and let's go help people. So I brought in a mentor. And I had actually brought him in, and we just kind of finalized it in that late, but I had actually brought in a mentor back in 10. And he just said, if you're going to build a business, you really don't do that. You actually grow people, and then they grow the business. Mm-hmm. And I had to quit throwing stuff against the wall and quit making all the decisions myself, and it really rocked my world when I had to figure out how to look at things completely different and let go of all the control and let other people make more mistakes.
So you brought the mentor in and they gave you the idea. Were they on your staff, or you just hired them as kind of like a consultant?
Oh, good question. So that actually started back in 2010. The bank called and said, actually the CPA called and said, you got a tax problem. And at this point, I mean, we're running and gunning. I'm wearing cowboy hat, spitting red man, and we're running and gunning. And the CPA called and says, you have a tax problem. So I called the bank, and he said, well, you don't have any cash. So I said,
Sounds
okay.
like everybody. Yeah.
Sounds like most people. So I had my ex-CEO of Freona Industries fly up from Texas. And he was nice enough to come up, and he said I needed a CFO if I was going to make it. And I said, I don't even know what that means. What's a CFO? And he told me all about that, and I stuck the note in my drawer. And about 2 months later, I was mad about something and pulled that out, and I'm like, I'm going to go look for a CFO. So I found one. Brett Freevert, CFO Systems, helped me out. He came to our office for a year, just helped me professionalize, actually turned into be a fantastic friend. And then he goes, you need a mentor to help you get through all this. And he introduced me to Bob Bates, who actually passed away this year. Mm. He aged out, and just a fantastic guy, but he taught me so much. He owned guaranteed life insurance in Omaha. So he actually took it public.
I've heard the commercials.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure I have for Guaranteed Life.
Really? Yeah. He was fantastic. He was mad about Enron giving Omaha a bad name, black eye. So he started the Business Ethics Alliance at Creighton, and he took me under his wing and started coaching me. And, you know, I was always wanting quick fixes on everything. And he goes, grow your people, grow your people.
That's
Quit
interesting.
thinking about profits.
A life insurance exec is coming in and giving advice to a cattle business.
First time I rode in a Porsche.
In a Porsche. Note he didn't say last time or only time. Yeah, said first time.
There's one sitting outside.
No. I wish.
That's wild. So out of that mentorship, you launched Balance4Ward?
Yeah. Christy and I just went all in. It's like we're going to go help give back and take some pain away from some of the things that we've had to learn the hard way and help this industry. Because, like I said, even from the beginning, all those families that helped us get started. I mean, we built that feed yard. There was animal health customers buying medicine from me off of a van down in Missouri. And as soon as I said I was going to build one, they're like, I'll send you cattle. Insane how much. And, you know, the Neth family and Wellhausen family from Southwest Iowa. And just it goes on. Billy Sondrager out of Missouri. All those guys just sent me cattle.
He sounds like he's just accepted an award at a show, and he's got to thank all the people
Right.
that got him to where he is. But that's part of your story. You don't get there without the people.
That's something that people gotta. I think in agriculture sets us back is we don't ask for help very well.
Yeah.
I was raised independent, rugged individualist, and if you don't ask for help, you're in trouble.
Yeah, we're pretty reserved. We don't ask for help. We don't share numbers. Your business is pretty tight. It's kind of ingrained in us from a young age, and we need to change that. Because, look, you could bring someone in from an outside industry and change it completely.
Absolutely.
Find some good stuff. But
No, a turtle doesn't get on top of a fence post by itself.
Oh.
what?
You're right. It doesn't. It wouldn't. Nope.
No.
It wouldn't. It also probably doesn't get off its back by itself.
Took a little help to get there.
I don't know why I would want to be on a fence post.
You ever seen one?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a post turtle.
Yep.
A post turtle.
Post turtle.
It seems.
So do you
seems
leave
mean.
the turtle on the post, or do you leave it for other people to see?
I don't know what the correct.
Nobody knows.
I don't know, but that's the saying.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Is why is it on there? I don't get it. And it
I
stops
feel like
there.
you should leave like $100 bill underneath of it, and then if you're the nice person that goes and saves the turtle, you get rewarded.
There's your new geocaching.
Yeah.
yeah.
Turtle posting.
Turtle. Yeah.
Oh.
I like that a
PETA
lot.
will be out after that.
So at Balance4Ward, you're helping take some of the pain away for cattle producers that you and your wife experienced and
Sure.
tried to provide clarity.
Yeah.
What are some of those things?
Yeah. Well, and Bob helped beat those in my head, right, back when I was in the day. So it starts with, I think everybody needs a revenue team. And most of us, the simple things are, you got to have the right balance sheet. And you also got to have, or not a right balance sheet, you got to get things right on your balance sheet for what you have. It'd be easier just to say, I need a better balance sheet.
Well, yeah. Get a better balance sheet. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, piece of cake.
And projected forecasting working capital. Big deal. But honestly, once you get that done, the good part is what I've learned is you've got to let money makers look at your books. Love the CPA, love my banker, love the family. All that's good. And some of them are money makers, some of them not so much. But you got to get that to a place where you can have other people look at it and say, if you bought this business, what would you start and stop doing? That's the power in that, I believe, from the revenue team.
Yeah, it's interesting. The three of us have had a lot of conversations with listeners. We've had a lot of other industry professionals talk to us, and it's wild when we all three talk about what does a business look like when it's worth buying. So many people work all their life on their farm, on their company, and they don't have a business worth buying or selling at the end of it. It's a whole nother lens to look at things through.
Sure.
So it's interesting to say start with a balanced balance sheet, but yet as you were talking about buying all these loads and buying all this stuff, you're like, boy, if the bank only knew, they didn't know anything. And you were successful, but yet then, so that's where you took your correction and said, look, we were dumb to do this, and this is what you really need to do? Or
I don't know if it was dumb to do that. It's just the sooner you can get somebody to come in there and keep track of you that's smarter than you are, the faster, the better off you are.
I've always thought risk a lot to make a lot, risk a little to make a little, and but calculated.
Calculated risk.
Yeah.
And it was, honestly, as wild as it was pretty calculated when you're buying $15 distiller's grain. You know, it's not all that. And I have contacts that are a mile long.
Yeah, you had a fallback plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't completely out in the wind.
Right.
But it's neat to know, because some of the previous conversations we've had with your team members, the good people that you have at Balance4Ward, they were talking about how you're trying to help all size of cattle producers.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just for large feedlots.
Right.
And we were even toying around with the idea of Corey buying cattle and putting them in a lot, because it makes it sound so simple.
It is.
Great idea. Yeah.
You remember that?
I do.
It's like, wow,
I
this
do,
is so
yeah.
easy. Even Corey can do it.
Yeah. Well, we've said that several times. I just wish I would have been in it, maybe 2 or 3 years ago before the run up.
Right.
Yeah. That would have been the smart way.
It is easy putting cattle in the lot. Making money on them is a little tough.
Yeah.
Is there money in cattle right now?
It looks pretty bleak going forward. The break-even, now, if you're a rancher, cow-calf guy, it's great for quite a while yet, it looks like to me. But if you're an investor feeder and you keep your farming separate from your cattle ownership, we're buying break-evens, calf feds right now 130 to 140. Yearlings are probably closer to that 130, 135.
So why would they buy them? Why not just wait out until
Habit.
Just habit.
Habit.
He didn't say good or bad habit. He just said
I
habit.
mean, I get why farmers farm, they'll buy a farm because it only every once in a while sells. And so they'll make it just break even because that was the time it was for sale. But you don't necessarily have to buy cattle and put them in a lot to break even.
Well, we do all kinds of different things to keep me centered because I'm such an extremist at times.
Yeah.
So we have trade rules that we keep track of. But honestly, the day I accepted for fact, for myself anyways, as an investor feeder, is we actually have a cattle position. And then we go to the bank and ask for money to own cattle to hedge the position.
Okay.
Where most people go buy cattle and then they think, I need to go get some risk management done. We do opposite of it. We just admit it. It's like we have a cattle position and we have to own the cattle to hedge our futures. And the sooner you get that, and I'll be honest, I've never met an investor feeder that didn't think that way.
Okay.
I'm not talking about all cattle feeders, but somebody that's like, I go buy cattle and put them in somebody else's yard.
Yep.
So I know exactly what I got in, what's coming out. I would love to sit down and visit with somebody that doesn't look at it that way.
I don't know if we've heard it said that way, at least not on our podcast before.
No, it's usually always the opposite.
Usually I bought them.
We're usually talking about grain.
Yep.
I wouldn't be here today if I didn't switch those two around. I remember it didn't work for me the other way. I tried the other way.
So is that something you help producers with now?
Yeah. It's hard to make people understand that because they want to say, well, you're a speculator. Well, buying a $200 loser today is speculating.
That's true. That's true.
Hoping it'll come back.
At Ag Explorer, farmers always come first.
In late 2025, Tim, the CEO at Ag Explorer, and I had a conversation, and he made it clear that while costs are rising in agriculture, Ag Explorer is holding prices steady for the 2026 growing season.
That's right. It's a commitment to the farmer that has been unmatched. At Ag Explorer, agronomic solutions are built on trust, integrity, and putting farmers first always.
Learn more at www.agexplore.com. That's AGXPLORE.com.
But we have 20% of the cattle, maybe 25% of the cattle we had on feed 2 years ago.
Okay.
And so I'm okay with varying our inventory is huge to me as an investor feeder. So we always keep my place full, but all the outside cattle, I mean, we'll get up to 25, 30 different locations we're at. And then right now there might be 3.
So why do you stay full? Because your labor's cheaper?
Same reason everybody else does, right? Yeah. Not cheaper, but you got bills to pay. It's keeping the factory running is actually cheaper than shutting it. You got to stay loyal to the people you have.
Boy, I know when you get into hog world, and it seems like if you leave a confinement sit empty, everything breaks.
It's a completely different animal there.
Well, it is, but it's got to be somewhat the same. I'm talking mechanically in a hog confinement. You're talking relationally.
Sure.
If you just all of a sudden stop for 2 years, now you got to go back and mend those relationships from somebody that you were always buying from. And yeah.
It's hard on your ego when you start backing off numbers because everybody wants, it doesn't matter if you're going to church or going to Casey's.
Yeah.
You full? Are you full? That's what everybody wants to know. They really want to know, well, how much money you got in the bank or how much have you lost?
It's like, how many acres do you farm?
Right.
Are you full? The answer's yes. Might be full of shit, but I'm still
trying
full.
to think. I mean, I would love to say I'm 20% full, but I've made more money this year than I ever have, or something.
Right.
I don't know. Try to come up with a good
Best
rebuttal.
answer I've heard is unbelievable. That's the answer.
Unbelievable.
Are you full? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Can't imagine.
Unbelievable. That's a T-shirt.
Unbelievable.
Because you don't want them to know if you got a lot.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times when we're doing the best, people think we're losing and vice versa because they never know where our position's at.
Yeah, and that's always been interesting from what the listeners have told us. And I'm glad that you shared the fact that it can be flip-flopped, your position, and then you buy the live. Because so many people, just like you said, they always get them from off grass in Kentucky or West Virginia, and then they show up, and it's like, crap. I know what my corn costs, or I know what it takes to buy it. I know what, you start figuring into this, and it's like, shoot, now I've got cattle here,
Yeah.
and I can't do a lot to protect it.
So we use crushes to kind of keep track of that. So, and like this year, we're doing more reverse crushes where you do the opposite of what everybody else is doing on futures. We can't get into all the detail of that because I'd probably be the world's worst at explaining it. And Don Bragg, who works for it, he keeps track of all that for us now, so he's really good at it.
The overall concept of that is if something's going up, you take the downside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhat, yeah.
To oversimplify it.
So we still need to go down on what you're helping. You said get your stuff in balance, get your stuff in order. But I see up on the screen here, it's a membership.
Yeah. So the second thing is really communication management. That's the second thing that Bob taught us. And so after Bob coached me for quite a while, he said, well, you've got to get alignment in your people. You got to get speaking the same language, and you got to quit making all these decisions yourself. And really what it started into, and that's why we call it legacy, is our cattle business systems, it's succession planning. It's the playbook of how do we take over. Like I want my kid to know how to trade futures. I want my kid to know how to make decisions. And there's basically 6 different communication metrics or components that you need to put together. But Bob introduced me to EOS back in 2014.
Yeah, we had introduced our audience to that almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. It's hard to bring something as complicated as EOS into a family farm.
Yeah.
But you can stair-step your way into it.
So we help people do that now. So we have EOS implementers and other communication management people that we use, and then we help contract those people and put them in and kind of make sure that we're working on the right things with the cattle feeders and the farmers, and so they can use that, and that's working really well.
Yeah, there's a lot of tentacles to this business.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We're wanting a whole program eventually so somebody can come in and it's turnkey.
Like Corey.
We're getting ready to launch 2.0 on our cattle business systems right now. And then the third thing that we didn't, and the last thing here that I think we just got to have, and I actually see it happening more on the row crop side and the swine producers that I talked to here a while back, but you got to have some professional development. A lot of these families are just succession planning really comes down to how do we resolve conflict. I mean, there's all this people thing that everybody avoids, but I'm telling you what I'm seeing is the people younger than me, and I'm 53, they're going to demand it, and they're going to make this happen on the people development side. So we just want to be the company that brings that all together for the cattle people, and it's just going to happen. So we're actually we're assigning coaches to people.
Wow.
And you have coaches on your team?
Yes, we're just contracting them out because we want to, depending if you're a 40,000 head yard or you're 500 head of cows and you've got 5,000 acres of row crop, you need something a little different. So we're trying to match that up. You can't possibly hire all them in full time to get the right people.
I got so many directions I want to go. Both of you've been writing stuff down as well. You want me to go and you follow?
Yeah, I'm just writing down the steps.
So the fun part for me is back when this podcast was growing, it was a really big deal for me to give up audio editing. Just one aspect of it, but it was my baby. I'd always done it that way. It was the quality I'd always done. And I can relate that to a lot of these operations because Grandpa always got cattle from this cow-calf herd.
Sure.
Dad always bought cattle here. That's the way I must have to do this.
Right.
You were talking about letting the decision-making go to somebody else. That's not very easy to do, especially in agriculture. How are you getting people to just turn that over?
Customer-wise?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, it takes a lot of trust building for sure. And honestly, just one at a time. So all the services when we started this, with the new Balance Commodities, and as we built all the different services that we do, we build trust. And then eventually we come in and we do an assessment through their business, and we'll send their finances over to a CFO to do an analytics of it and just say, well, give us some feedback. What do you think? What's it going to take to kind of get some, and what's some quick wins? How do we put some cash in their pocket soon? And that really starts and we make sure that's not in their back door, right? We move those people away because nobody wants their neighbors or everybody to be looking at their finances.
You don't want to run into your CFO at the grocery store.
Right.
Because then they'll see what's in your cart and should you be buying that?
Caviar.
And if we can't help them, we don't have to make money on everything. So if we can point them in the right direction, if we don't have something in our pile of services that we have, our main job is just make sure the customer gets taken care of. So
you need one of those portfolio badges on LinkedIn. Have you guys seen those?
No.
Like under some people that I've seen, it says my portfolio. And I was like, what is this? And it's all the companies that they're a part of underneath their LinkedIn. And maybe you got to be like super.
I was going to say, if I had one of those badges, it would have Farm4Profit.
There you go.
Yeah. That'd be about it.
Church?
I don't have any ownership in that. Yeah.
Not yet.
But it is interesting. The last time we talked with the reps that you sent over for us in, I want to say September of 24, it felt like at that time Balance4Ward was able to handle what I needed to on the cattle side. We joke about Corey walking away from that conversation thinking he can own it because they would put the position on, source the cattle for me, find me a feedlot to put it in, source the feed that I needed to put into it, and then also help me find a place to market my cattle.
Sure.
Like that was the suite that you were offering.
Absolutely.
This has grown in the last year and a half to now you're beyond the cattle.
Sure.
Still do that, right?
Absolutely.
But now you're beyond that to the family and the relationship and the leadership and the skills that it takes to do this successfully.
Yeah. I would say we're not really, it may have just evolved and we're just finishing it. It's just kind of like, what's the next, what do we need to do to put a bow on this thing and tie it all together? But people, I mean, if you want to go feed cattle successfully, you got to make sure you're listening to one person and the right person. And when you start taking advice from too many different people that aren't experts, we're always telling the young people come into our company, if you want to be the world's best plumber and your dad is an insurance salesman, don't ask your dad. Mm-hmm. I know, love your family, that's great, but go ask the very best. And that's what we go out and outsource whoever we can find is the very best.
As long as you listen to the auctioneer. One more time. You're looking at him right.
Right.
Go ahead. Go ahead. He'll steer you the right way.
Right.
But can they still come? Like if our listeners are interested in that suite that we had talked about before.
Sure.
And none of the, some are going to blow this off as just leadership garbage. I don't need that.
That's right.
You can still help them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have a risk management team where we have weekly calls. We're getting ready to move that into doing some like 5-person peer groups on some of them calls if you like. That helps us. That helps the customer so they can learn from other people at the same point in time. So we're working on that right now, kind of evolving that. And yeah, that's definitely something that we're keep doing. And when I'm talking about taking cattle business systems, we're probably looking at 20% of our customer base are going to do that. Mm-hmm. But we just hope everybody's working on their legacy because we want something to last here. We don't need 4 people owning all the cattle in the country. We all know that.
Mm-hmm. Very true. We've done episodes on succession planning, done multiple episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
They always do really well. We've done done episodes on peer groups and getting those types of organizations involved and put together. We've just put out an episode on coaching. We've covered a lot of these things individually. We've not covered these things specifically to cattle producers.
Yeah, I was going to say, not just for cattle. I mean, we've talked about how to split acres, but we haven't talked about how to split herd or who's the boss or the job or the operation or... Yeah, interesting.
And I bet your tool is valuable because there's a lot of young producers out there that don't have farms to go back to. Like you said, you came back and your mom and dad had sold out. There wasn't anything, you started from scratch.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of producers that are looking for an opportunity to get in themselves.
Right.
Do you think a young kid coming out of college, can they go today in today's market and hook up with you guys and say, I want to get in this business. I like cattle. I'm bovine all day long, and I'm going to go to the bank. And can they go borrow $1 million with advice, buy what they need to buy, and put it in somebody's lot and actually make money? Or I mean, the barrier to entry to farming row crop is very, very difficult to go buy land, to have all the equipment to do that. Is the cattle industry any different? What's the barrier to entry, or can I make a go of it with the right financing?
I think cattle is actually easier to get into.
You think so? Okay.
Because you don't have to do as many.
Okay.
And the second thing is I would challenge you is if I was going to go start row cropping today, I would do the same thing. I would go out, what we did with cattle, I would go out and say, I'm going to have a corn and soybean position, and then I'm going to go to the bank. And borrow money to hedge my position.
Never thought about it that way.
Because if you're new into this business, because it kind of irritates me, honestly, when I hear people say young people can't get in, because young people sure as hell can get in. My neighbor, I am so proud of him. He come to work for me. I mentored him through college, and he grew up in Nebraska, in Omaha.
That was his first problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm closer to Nebraska,
Sure.
And I got an office in Omaha, so and I've paid some tuition in Lincoln, so
there you go.
You'll have to cuss me for that.
We love giving our Nebraska friends
right,
but we do have a ton of young people ask they want to get into agriculture somehow. How do we do it? Yeah. And I don't know that we've found an answer yet.
This might be one of them.
I really don't.
Well,
so when I say that young people struggle to get in, it's not for a lack of trying.
For some of them.
6 years worth of interview, we've tried to solve that answer.
Sure.
And maybe haven't solved it yet.
It's get a position. So my son, he went out and got a line of credit without me talking. I mean, it was amazing. He was in his 20s, and we got a line of credit to feed cattle, and he come back, and Colton's going to shoot me for saying this on in the public, but anyway, he come back and he got a line of credit to go feed some cattle. And I said, well, he was all excited to go about filling a pen. And I said, well, what's our 5 steps say? What's the forecast look like? I said, wouldn't you be smarter to go buy some puts on the cattle that you're going to buy later? I mean, look, at that time back in 23, they had ran up. And we were like, maybe it might be smarter to look at this a little different way. Why don't you hold off buying some cattle and let's go buy some puts first and see what happens. Well, sure enough, it wasn't too long and the market came down, and now go buy some cattle.
It's a good point that you brought up. I think it's something we should debate on another podcast. Clint Fisher had this on X, and he hasn't been on for a few months.
Nope.
He took a couple months off, and he came back and he said he was doing an event for some ranchers, West River ranchers, about a month ago. He said the average age of 200 plus ranchers in that room was much lower than one might think, and he was asking why. Well, the obvious is it takes a lot more labor, right, to do livestock than it does row crop. But I was actually talking what you're talking about. Like, you don't have to go out and buy or rent 3,000 acres to make $100,000. You know, you can buy, or take position on small lots, and you can use some of that ground that nobody else wants to, or, make a lot or whatever. I mean, and then you can scale it much.
I said the same thing with Story County and Benton County Cattlemen's. I do their fundraiser, and the demographic has changed. There are a lot of people, either I'm getting older or all the demographic got younger.
You are getting older.
Because I had my old sweet mic, but it didn't work, see? But yeah. Every time you guys call me old, I got something to reference. Old school.
I do like this. But now you can't tease our listeners and say that there's 5 steps and not let us know what those 5 steps are that your son should have been thinking about.
Good question. So when we went all in to help build this, I don't want to call it a platform for cattle business systems. Like, what are we lacking? And it was the same thing every other cattle feeder lacked. Everything I did to trade and feed cattle was all in my head. Mm-hmm. So we literally, like, what are the documents? And I mean, the people that helped pull this out, it was like pulling teeth getting this out of my head. And then that was about 80% of it. And they put the cherry on top, the rest of them and their ideas. But we got it down to like a decision tree. Like, what are the 5 steps of the decision tree that have to be first and foremost? And then another document we have is our trade rules. And when we believe when the market gets fast, you got to go over those once a week. And then another rule is somebody that's other than your broker has to be giving you kind of one of those money makers. Somebody else has to be looking at your position and calling bullshit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you and your broker get to drinking because we love each other.
Yeah.
Right? We get to hanging out. We're buddies. And we get 2 tunnel vision. So we got to have somebody else a bullshit caller.
Yep.
And then honestly, the last one there is it's just short-term profits. And you got to be able to vary your inventory. And most people get so caught up in what my profit per head is. And right now we've got technology coming out of our ears of telling us what our profit per head is and all this technology. But honestly, it's return on equity is more important than profit per head. And that's where your inventory variance comes. Because it's not as much fun to own cattle right now, 240 break even. I'm talking as an industry that had calf feds for a year, that would own them calves for a year. Hell, there's some of these break-evens just went out not too long ago, probably 172, maybe as low as 172, and they're replacing with some of these 240 break-evens. That's a whole different gambling level.
Yeah, it is. I just had a conversation with a CPA that just talks about how much faster agriculture moves now than it used to. And when margins are tighter, sometimes that time window that you have to make the right decision to take those short-term profits is only here for a couple hours.
Right.
Now, I'm curious, you said short-term profits. Do you advise trading that same group of cattle multiple times between physically putting them in your lot and physically they leave your lot? Is that how you capture short-term gains?
I look at it 18 months in advance. So we'll start taking positions 18 months before we ever buy the cattle. We're looking at reverse crushes. And when I say reverse crush, I won't get in the details too far. But instead of the typical crush, we'll go sell the feeder cattle. So say this coming April, we'll sell the April feeder cattle, buy the October fats, and then sell the corn, sell the July corn. Do the opposite of because you can lock up a $200 loser, let's say. Well, I'm betting that gets better, not worse.
Right.
That's an example.
Before we started, we were talking artificial intelligence and technology out in the hallway there. Is there any AI decision-making or data processing that helps you make decisions?
Absolutely. Use it every day.
Okay. I thought so.
I mean, I have buddies I told you out in the hall that are talking about the moral dilemma of AI, and I agree. But I'm going to set that aside from my faith and then move it into what reality of running a business. I don't know how I'm going to be successful in our business if we're not already adapting to
without it. That's what we were talking.
Because it's already here and it's taken off and it's already past a lot of the business world.
Yep.
I mean, it's real.
Yeah, we got honored to be a part of Tim Hammerich's year-end episode. He grabbed 7 different podcast clips and put a conversation that we had with Vitelli on. Mm-hmm. But one of the other interviews that he was talking about is someone was analyzing the future of AI in agriculture and said it's actually really expensive to train AI because you have to have hundreds of thousands of lots. He was using apples as an example.
Sure.
It has to analyze hundreds of thousands of apples to understand what a bad apple is. But you could take a 6-year-old and point out what a bad apple is, and they see it 9 or 10 times, and they know. And they could probably sort apples for you. But there's that curve of once it's trained, now it's repeatable. So it's still going to take a lot to get AI to really take over agriculture.
Sure.
But for the pieces that are already doing really well, we need to put them to work.
Yeah. We're plagued with a lot of bad data in the cattle feeding world still today. We're collecting data, but it's good numbers in, good numbers out, bad numbers in, bad numbers out. And I believe the generation that's taken over cattle feeding right now, they're on a mission to get that cleaned up.
In your feedlot, do you use a software or an app package when you're feeding the cattle to track the inputs? What do you use?
Micro.
Okay.
It's been around forever. It's pretty robust. It's about as complex and as simple as you can possibly get. But there's a bunch of good ones out there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to ask what you do on a day-to-day basis besides go on this podcast circuit and show up early, because you've said that you're entrusting everyone else to make all these decisions and all that. Like, so are you're just the podcast guy now, or what? What's a day look like? With all these businesses that you have.
It's honestly never the same.
Yeah.
It's never the same. And I do a lot of coaching of our people, because we're really pushing to be people first all the time. And every time I fall off the wagon on that, it costs me a lot of headaches. And because everybody wants to do a good job, and if you're not coaching all the time, even when there's not a problem, you don't wait for problems to come up. As John Maxwell says, you scoop the pile when it's small. You don't wait till it's a big old pile of crap.
Yeah.
And honestly, you need to be looking for piles before they're even a small pile. I'd call that an opportunity.
Yeah.
How many people actually do that?
What, scoop the
small pile?
Not enough. Not enough. It hurts people when we don't do that, actually. It's the same thing, because honestly, we've got about 50 folks that work for us, and we got 1099s that we contract out to do things. But when we go to some of our smaller customers, they say, well, we're too small. We don't have teammates. It's just me and this. And it's like, everybody's got a team, and everybody has a decision tree. You're outsourcing a lot of your team. And are you guys rowing in the same position? Does your broker really know, if you're using your broker for something or using your cattle buyer for something, do they really know the vision and the plan of where you're trying to get? Or is it just kind of winging it along the way? So we've all got it. It's just, have we formalized it? Yeah,
your decision tree is what our listeners are familiar with as an advisory team. And we've done a couple episodes around, if you can, try to get them all together once a year.
Yeah.
And then your banker understands what your accountant understands, what your broker understands, what your nutritionist understands. And all of a sudden you've got a room full of people that you go and tell your broker this, and he goes, no, in our meeting, this is what we talked about. And what you're asking me to do is contrary. You almost have that bullshitter or the bullshit caller to say, no, close.
And we're looking for that. We in our cattle business systems, it really isn't going to fit a lot of people, because we want to get a little ornery with it. Like, we want growth-minded customers in that. We want people like, damned if I do, damned if I don't. I want the next gen and have the playbook and the instruction set of how to keep this thing going.
Right.
And if they don't have that growth mindset, it's probably not for them, honestly, which is fine.
What do you look for when you hire them then? I mean, like, what's the question you ask them for a growth mindset? Like, how do you know in your 30-minute interview with somebody?
Yeah. We go through our success formula and how we grow people. And I try to talk them out of the job. It's like, we're going to help you become an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And we're going to, this is going to be hard. And unfortunately, some people come in and they think, oh yeah, I got it. And like, no, we're gonna be hard on you. It's for your best.
Got it.
I thought one of the prereqs, at least from conversation we had before, a lot of your team owned cattle.
Sure.
And that was big, that they all were in it. And they knew what was going on at one level or the other.
We try to, and it's worked really well. There's always a downside to everything, but we've did a lot of recruiting out of the entrepreneurship groups out of Lincoln and out of Ames. And some of the other South Dakota different colleges, and we're looking for those people that are gritty. We actually like people that's had some pain in their lives.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the first place they've had to have I haven't won.
It's fair. It's very fair.
What's the chief bullshit caller get paid?
You're going to change your title?
Yeah.
You don't want to be CTO anymore? You want to be CBS?
CBSC. Oh.
I think you need a flag. Throw the flag.
We got a
We do have a challenge
flag.
Yeah.
My mom made one of those. I don't know if you saw in the commercials that a spouse could challenge the recollection, whatever it is. My mom made one of those for the studio. Apparently, she thought we needed that.
We had penalty flags, yellow flags in our office for a while.
Yeah.
So it's membership based. Is it per head, per entity? How does that work?
Oh, yeah. So the cattle business systems is so much per month, and for the average, we'll be around $2,400 a month. But we can make that. And honestly, if there's somebody that wants to put the work in, and I always tell the young people, go learn on somebody else's dime. There's nothing. I worked for somebody else for a while. Learn on somebody's dime, and good people will say that's perfectly okay. Like if you come to work for me for 5 years, and you're bound determined to go open your own business, those are some of my proudest moments. Jason McManus that owns Edge down there, Edge Ag Solutions in Corning, he worked for me for about 5 years, and he owns his own business, got probably 15 employees now. I'm his biggest advocate. We want people to grow and do well. So
that's a great philosophy. Not very many people have that. A lot of people want to bring that talent in and try and keep them forever. They're mine. You're going to help me make a bunch of money.
Sure. Well, and sometimes that it does work out. Some of the people said, Drake, I'm giving you 3 years and that's it. And I can think of one that's been here 20 years. He knows who he is.
Yeah. And probably still happy.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Yeah.
And made a big influence in the company. So
That's good.
The last one we haven't talked about, though, has nothing to do with cattle.
I know. I got it on my list, too. It's too bad it's going to be an hour in.
That's all right.
Go ahead.
You can move it. So just briefly, I don't know much about it. I heard that you might own one of our favorite stores that we have never been to. It's like a mythical beast out there that we need to go, but we haven't. What is that?
Yeah. So Fire and Salt Co. We got this is actually pre-COVID, but just the idea back in the fake meat, and I don't like how we're selling meat. I hate the commodity piece. We're putting all this work into it, and all my friends are doing genetics and their cow herds, and it's just irritated the hell out of me of how we're selling meat as a commodity. And it's like, we can do better. So we started the Ultimate Beef Experience, and anything that enhances a beef meal. And we just had some fun with it. Of course, it's always a pain in the butt, some of the things you do when you start a new brand, but it's been a ball. And honestly, the traffic, I bet 85% of our business is out of county.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, people are driving in. We got some other great businesses there in Corning, and they come in and go across the street to one of the restaurants, and we start a little happy hour. But so you walk in and you got all of our beef that we got from our feed yard, and then we've labeled the prime end of it reserve. But we've got it's an old bank vault full of cigars. So remember, Adams County's got 3,500 people in it. And you take 3,500, the people that are retired or little, there's not very many people left. So we've got probably $25, $30 cigars in the bank vault down to we got all the Deadwood cigars. We got all those different cigars in there. That's a lot of fun. We've got a bunch of Wisconsin cheeses in there. Ooh. We have high-end, we'll have we'll have $15 bottles of wine up to quite a few, $100 and some bottles of wine.
Yeah.
A lot of hard-to-get whiskeys. But we want you to taste everything, and we want you to...
You have a wall of olive oil.
Yeah. Not just olive oil, Olivelli olive oil.
Oh.
So that's funny. As a cattle feeder, we were at one of the shows, and I said, what's the order on that? What's the opening order? And she said, 20,000. Ooh. And I'm like, well, that's kind of gutsy, but that's only a few dead cattle. Everything in our house is like, well, how many dead steers is that? I've lost that many before. Yeah. So we bought a $20,000 opening order of olive oil, and it's been one of our biggest hits. Well, I think we're their fourth largest dealer. Everything.
Cook with it.
So you pull in there and you get your own. So when you go to the city and go buy olive oil, right? So it's all those places they're a little hoity-toity for ag people.
Yeah.
You come to our place, we got guys with plier cases coming in buying olive oil, and they're rubbing down pork roasts and rump roasts and beef and then also we get all kinds of women coming in, obviously, and shopping. But it's probably
crisp pear.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is
It
interesting.
makes salad dressings,
Got to
but
go to fireandsaltco.com and you will be lost there for hours. My in-laws had a foreign exchange student from Italy that came over and spent her senior year in their household, and they got to experience a lot of Italian things, and they still will have her family send them
Sure.
authentic olive oil, and it's a treat. 'Cause usually for birthday parties, we make them, roast up a loaf of bread and just dip it and taste
Sure.
the latest delivery, the latest shipment. I should ask them if they want to fork out $20,000 to set up an olive oil cellar.
I think we should at least go check it out. I mean, 2 hours away though. So
we'll
we gotta plan this.
come after 5, and we'll have happy hour with some
fair enough.
Eagle Rare or some Blantons or
Yeah.
maybe Pappy Van Winkle.
Ooh, is it open every day?
It's closed Sundays and Mondays.
Mondays.
Yeah.
Boy, I got to stop looking at this. I won't be able to focus.
People, it's a great gift store, and people just love to come hang out. And
Ah, geez, peanut butter chocolate delight.
Ah, geez.
You should connect a Napa store to it.
yeah,
Oh, that's
the
cool.
seafood. All the we get everything out to taste it too. We have all the seasonings out, so you can taste all the seasonings, and there'll be people in there for an hour and a half just.
So is this
I-
your brainchild?
I can
or
see why.
Is this you trusting your people and they said we should?
Well,
do
this was my wife and I's probably primarily brainchild.
Okay.
And we brought a young entrepreneur in and said, "I'm going to put you through living hell if you want to go do this." And he did it. I'm really proud of him. Now he's a wealth manager. Opened up his own deal, and
So you need another one. You need
Yeah.
Another young entrepreneur.
we're getting ready for the next one. Yeah. So
That's very cool.
hopefully, I'd love to set somebody up to be a manager to own this. I would love to set somebody up. So if you guys could help me, if you can find a person that loves sales that wants to do this,
And food.
and we would set them up for his ownership, it would be, I'd love to keep a piece of it, but we'd love to set that up so they can win.
Wow.
I bet you'll get someone reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We, for the listeners, they're used to us starting with a full page outline and going off of it. And we just let this conversation travel the direction it was going to travel. Appreciate you sharing your background, your insights, and not sugarcoating anything.
Well, that's me. Well, take it or leave it, right?
Might olive oil coat it or salt coat it,
There you go.
but no sugar. Did you get all your questions asked?
I did.
Dave, you?
I'm hungry now looking at this website.
I'm sure we'll talk more about it too once we shut the mics off. But yeah, Todd, we really do appreciate it. Folks, head out to Balance4Ward.com, fireandsaltco.com. Go check it all out. I'm sure if you reach out to him, he'll be able to answer, or at least would enjoy the conversation to try and get some questions answered.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
That's great. Until next time, have a good one.
Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit.